Every day, millions of people look in the mirror and see the same thing. Dark patches spreading across the face, brown spots appearing on the hands and neck. They start quietly, one spot, then two, then so many you stop counting. You've tried creams, you've tried home remedies, and when you finally ask a doctor, you're often given the same answer: it's aging. I'm here to tell you that answer is incomplete. Age spots, medically known as hyperpigmentation, are not a verdict, and they're not simply an unavoidable part of getting older. They are a signal that specific processes inside the body have fallen out of balance, and many of those processes can be addressed without expensive procedures, $100 creams, or surgery. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling and hit like. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers, and everyone helps this channel grow. Let's start with what actually happens when a dark spot forms. Deep within your skin are specialized cells called melanocytes. Their job is to produce melanin, the pigment responsible for skin color. When these cells function normally, pigment is distributed evenly and the skin appears clear and uniform. But under the influence of certain internal and external factors, melanocytes begin behaving erratically. Some become overactive and deposit large amounts of pigment into one small area. The result is a dark patch surrounded by lighter skin. Here's the key point. Age itself does not damage melanocytes. Specific physiological processes do, and anything driven by a process can potentially be changed. The first factor may surprise you. Most people blame the sun. Sunlight does play a role, but it is only part of the story. The sun is the match. The fuel is what is happening inside your body. If internal systems are functioning well, sunlight is less likely to create dramatic pigmentation changes. But when internal imbalances exist, spots may continue to darken even during winter or with minimal sun exposure. That's why some people use expensive sunscreens, avoid the sun completely, and still see their spots worsening. They're treating the trigger while ignoring the underlying fuel. Now let's talk about one of the most important organs involved, the liver. Your liver performs more than 500 functions every day. It filters blood, processes fats, neutralizes toxins, produces bile, stores vitamins, and helps regulate countless metabolic processes. One of the lesser-known ways it influences health is through its effect on the skin. Every day, substances enter the body through food, water, and air. The liver's job is to process and neutralize them. But when the liver becomes overloaded, other elimination pathways begin sharing that burden. One of those pathways is the skin. The skin is not just a covering, it is an active organ. When detoxification systems are under strain, substances circulating through tissues can contribute to irritation, including irritation of melanocytes. When melanocytes become irritated, pigment production can become uneven, creating concentrated dark patches, especially on the face, hands, neck, and chest. This is why creams often fail. You're trying to repaint the wall while ignoring the broken pipe behind it. Research shows that liver blood flow gradually declines with age. By age 75, hepatic blood flow may decrease by roughly 30%, and liver volume can shrink by 20 to 40%. The encouraging news is that the liver also has a remarkable capacity to recover when damaging influences are reduced and supportive habits are introduced. Simple approaches often recommended for liver support include starting the morning with a glass of warm water and lemon to encourage bile flow. If you have acid reflux, gastritis, or an ulcer, honey may be a gentler alternative. Including bitter foods in the diet. Bitter compounds stimulate bile production and support fat metabolism. Dandelion leaves can be added to salads, while dandelion root is commonly prepared as a tea. Eliminating trans fats and heavily processed foods, which place additional strain on metabolic and detoxification pathways. And we're only getting started because the liver is just one piece of the hyperpigmentation puzzle. Every single day, millions of people look in the mirror and notice the same thing. Dark patches spreading across the face, brown spots appearing on the hands, neck, and chest. They arrive quietly, one spot at first, then another, until suddenly they seem impossible to ignore. Most people try creams, home remedies, and expensive treatments. Eventually, they ask a doctor and hear the same answer: it's just aging. That answer is incomplete. Age spots, known medically as hyperpigmentation, are not simply a consequence of getting older. They are a signal that specific processes inside the body have fallen out of balance. And many of those processes can be improved without expensive procedures, prescription treatments, or $100 skincare products. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling and hit like. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps this channel grow. Let's start with what actually happens inside the skin. Deep within your skin, live specialized cells called melanocytes. Their job is simple: produce melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color. When the body is functioning properly, melanocytes distribute pigment evenly, creating clear, uniform skin. But under certain internal and external influences, these cells begin behaving erratically. Some slow down, while others go into overdrive, dumping excessive pigment into specific areas. The result is a dark patch surrounded by lighter skin. Here's the important point: age itself does not damage melanocytes. Specific physiological processes do, and anything driven by a process can potentially be changed. Most people assume the main culprit is the sun. That's only part of the story. The sun is the match. The fuel comes from inside your body. If your internal systems are functioning well, sunlight is far less likely to trigger excessive pigmentation. But when internal dysfunction is present, spots may continue darkening even during winter or on cloudy days. That's why some people avoid the sun, wear sunscreen daily, and still see their pigmentation worsen. The first internal factor is the liver. Your liver performs more than 500 functions every day. It filters blood, processes fats, neutralizes toxins, produces bile, stores vitamins, and supports countless metabolic processes. One of those processes directly influences your skin. Every day, substances enter your body through food, water, and air. The liver's job is to process and neutralize them. But when the liver becomes overloaded, some of that burden shifts elsewhere, including the skin. Your skin is not just a covering, it is also an active excretory organ. When internal waste products are not processed efficiently, they can irritate skin tissue from within. That irritation affects melanocytes, causing uneven pigment production and encouraging the appearance of dark spots, especially on the face, hands, neck, and chest. This is why expensive creams often fail. You're treating the surface while ignoring the source. Research shows that liver blood flow can decline by roughly 30% by age 75, while liver size may decrease by 20 to 40%. The good news is that the liver has remarkable regenerative capacity. Simple support strategies include starting the morning with a glass of warm water and lemon to encourage bile flow. If you have stomach ulcers or excess stomach acid, use a small amount of honey instead. Consuming bitter foods such as dandelion leaves or dandelion root tea. Bitter compounds stimulate bile production and support fat metabolism. Eliminating trans fats found in margarine, packaged baked goods, and foods containing partially hydrogenated oils. These simple habits reduce strain on the liver and help the skin carry less of the burden. The second major factor is the gut. Researchers now refer to the gut-skin axis, the direct relationship between intestinal health and skin health. Inside your digestive tract live trillions of bacteria. These organisms help regulate inflammation, immune function, nutrient production, and the integrity of the intestinal wall. When beneficial bacteria decline and harmful bacteria become dominant, the gut barrier weakens. Scientists call this increased intestinal permeability, often referred to as leaky gut. Fragments of bacteria and inflammatory compounds then enter the bloodstream and trigger low-grade chronic inflammation throughout the body. That hidden inflammation is one of the strongest drivers of abnormal melanocyte activity and worsening pigmentation. To support the gut microbiome, eat traditionally fermented sauerkraut made from cabbage and salt. Drink plain kefir before bed to introduce beneficial bacteria while the gut undergoes overnight repair. Feed those bacteria with fiber-rich foods, such as traditional oatmeal rather than instant varieties. Movement matters too. The digestive system relies on rhythmic muscular contractions called peristalsis. Long hours of sitting slow this process down. A simple abdominal massage can help stimulate intestinal motility. Lie on your back, bend your knees, and make slow clockwise circles over the abdomen with moderate pressure. Clockwise follows the natural direction of intestinal movement. Now let's return to the sun. Sunlight triggers melanocytes to produce melanin as protection against ultraviolet radiation. This is a normal biological response. But when melanocytes are already irritated by chronic inflammation from liver stress, gut dysfunction, or both, they react excessively. Instead of producing an even tan, they dump concentrated pigment into specific areas, creating age spots. The sun may light the match, but internal inflammation provides the fuel. Fortunately, certain foods help protect the skin from UV damage. Carrots are rich in beta-carotene, which accumulates in the skin and helps improve resistance to ultraviolet exposure. Because beta-carotene is fat-soluble, it must be eaten with healthy fats, such as butter, sour cream, or olive oil to be absorbed properly. Tomatoes provide additional antioxidant protection and help neutralize free radicals generated by UV exposure. The bottom line is simple. Age spots are not merely a cosmetic problem, and they are not simply old age. They are often a visible sign that the liver, gut, inflammatory system, and skin are no longer working together efficiently. Support the liver, restore the microbiome, reduce chronic inflammation, nourish the skin from within. When you address the root causes, the skin frequently begins correcting itself. Not magic, physiology. Tomatoes are another powerful tool, especially when cooked, stewed, or concentrated as tomato paste. Heat releases lycopene, one of the most potent natural antioxidants known. Clinical research shows that regular tomato paste consumption increases the skin's resistance to UV-induced damage. Just 2 tablespoons a day can make a meaningful difference. Third, green tea, not tea bags. Loose leaf green tea, brewed strong. Drink 3 to 4 cups throughout the day. Green tea contains high concentrations of catechins, antioxidants that help protect skin cells from free radical damage caused by ultraviolet exposure. Carrots with healthy fat, tomato paste, and green tea every day. Simple foods that support your skin from the inside out. Now, a little common sense about sunlight. During peak UV hours, roughly 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., seek shade. A light hat and a long-sleeved shirt are often enough, but do not make the mistake of avoiding sunlight completely. Your body needs sunlight to produce vitamin D, and vitamin D deficiency is one of the most overlooked health problems in older adults. Research consistently shows that the majority of people over 60 have insufficient vitamin D levels, and most never realize it because deficiency causes no obvious warning signs. It works quietly, like rust-weakening metal from the inside. Vitamin D helps regulate immune activity, supports skin cell renewal, reduces inflammation, and influences melanocyte function. While researchers are still studying the exact mechanisms, one fact is clear. Maintaining healthy vitamin D levels is essential for healthy skin. Before reaching for expensive supplements, start with what nature provides. 15 minutes of sunlight on your face and forearms between April and September is often enough to stimulate daily vitamin D production. Then focus on food. First, herring. Just 100 grams provides roughly 1.5 times the recommended daily intake of vitamin D. Second, egg yolks. 2 yolks daily can provide about 30% of your daily requirement. Third, cod liver. 1 teaspoon per day is inexpensive and can last weeks. Herring, eggs, and cod liver, ordinary foods available in ordinary grocery stores. Now let's discuss the 5th factor. This one can outweigh all the others combined. It has nothing to do with food or sunlight. It is chronic stress. During 15 years of clinical practice, I've seen patients who improved their diet, supported their liver, restored their gut health, followed every recommendation perfectly, and still developed new pigmentation spots. The turning point often came when they addressed chronic stress. Here's why. Whenever you worry, feel anxious, or remain under emotional pressure, your brain activates the body's alarm system. The adrenal glands release stress hormones designed to help you survive danger. The problem is that your body cannot distinguish between a physical threat and an emotional one. Arguments, financial worries, family problems, endless bad news, poor sleep. Your body reacts to all of them the same way, danger. And when that signal repeats every day, stress hormones remain elevated. Chronic stress damages the skin through several pathways. First, it amplifies systemic inflammation, the same low-grade inflammation we've discussed throughout this video. Second, it increases production of compounds from the pro-opiomelanocortin family, a precursor protein involved in the creation of hormones that directly stimulate pigment production. Third, it weakens the skin's protective barrier, making it more vulnerable to damage. Research consistently shows that people living under chronic stress experience pigmentation disorders and other skin problems at significantly higher rates. You can eat perfectly and follow every protocol, but if your nervous system remains locked in stress mode, inflammatory processes continue running in the background. The goal is not to eliminate stress completely. That's impossible. The goal is to teach your body a calmer physiological response. One of the simplest methods is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Sit or lie comfortably. Place one hand on your chest and one on your abdomen. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, allowing your abdomen to rise. Hold for a count of 7. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8, as if blowing out a candle across the room. 4, 7, 8. Repeat 4 times. The entire exercise takes less than 2 minutes. This activates the vagus nerve and stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for rest, recovery, and repair. Heart rate slows, blood pressure falls, muscles relax. Research shows that regular diaphragmatic breathing can lower stress hormone levels and improve sleep quality, and sleep matters. Deep sleep is when the skin performs much of its cellular repair and renewal. Without adequate deep sleep, full regeneration cannot occur. Practice this breathing exercise every night before bed. Now here's the important connection between everything we've discussed. Liver overload, gut dysbiosis, UV damage, vitamin D deficiency, and chronic stress all become more powerful with age. After 40, these processes accelerate. After 50, they accelerate even further. By age 60 and beyond, skin cells renew themselves at roughly half the rate they did during youth. That means the same habits your body tolerated at 30 can produce visible consequences at 60. Every day, millions of people look in the mirror and notice the same thing: dark patches spreading across the face, brown spots appearing on the hands, neck, and chest. At first, there is one spot, then another. Eventually, there are too many to count. You've tried creams, you've tried home remedies, and when you finally ask about them, you're often told the same thing: it's just aging. But that answer is incomplete. Age spots, medically known as hyperpigmentation, are not simply a verdict of getting older. They are often a signal that specific processes inside the body have fallen out of balance. The good news is that many of those processes can be supported without expensive procedures, luxury creams, or cosmetic treatments. If you enjoy clear, practical health explanations, subscribe to Dr. Waterling and hit like. We're working toward 100,000 subscribers, and your support helps this channel grow. Let's start with what actually happens inside the skin. Deep within your skin are specialized cells called melanocytes. Their only job is to produce melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color. When the body is functioning well, melanocytes distribute pigment evenly. Skin appears smooth, clear, and consistent. The problem begins when certain internal and external factors disrupt these cells. Some melanocytes slow down, while others become overactive and dump excessive pigment into one small area. The result is a dark spot surrounded by lighter skin. The most important thing to understand is this: age itself does not damage melanocytes. Specific physiological processes do, and unlike age, those processes can often be influenced. Factor number 1, the liver. Most people think age spots are caused only by the sun. That is only part of the story. The sun may be the match, but your body's internal condition is often the fuel. One organ that plays a surprisingly important role is the liver. Your liver performs more than 500 functions every day. It filters blood, processes fats, produces bile, stores vitamins, and helps neutralize substances that enter your body through food, water, and air. When the liver becomes overloaded, the body places additional burden on other elimination systems, including the skin. Your skin is not simply a covering, it is an active organ. When substances are not processed efficiently, they can contribute to irritation within skin tissue, including irritation of melanocytes. Irritated melanocytes often produce pigment unevenly, particularly in thinner areas such as the face, hands, neck, and chest. That is why expensive creams frequently produce disappointing results. They focus on the surface while ignoring what may be happening underneath. Research shows that liver blood flow can decline significantly with age. By age 75, hepatic blood flow may decrease by roughly 30%, while liver volume may shrink by 20 to 40%. Fortunately, the liver also has remarkable recovery capacity when supported properly. Simple ways to support liver function include a glass of warm water with lemon in the morning to encourage bile flow, bitter foods such as dandelion root tea before meals, eliminating trans fats and foods containing partially hydrogenated oils. 3 simple changes, not magic, just physiology. Factor number 2, the gut. The second major influence on pigmentation is the gut-skin axis. Researchers now recognize a strong relationship between intestinal health and skin health. Inside your digestive tract live trillions of bacteria that help regulate inflammation, produce vitamins, and maintain the integrity of the gut lining. When beneficial bacteria are depleted and harmful bacteria become dominant, the intestinal barrier can weaken. This is often referred to as increased intestinal permeability. As this barrier weakens, substances enter the bloodstream that promote chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the body. That hidden inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of pigment dysregulation. Remember the match and the fuel? This inflammation is part of the fuel. Supporting the microbiome does not require expensive supplements. Simple options include traditionally fermented sauerkraut, plain kefir with live cultures, fiber-rich foods such as real oatmeal, daily movement and abdominal massage to support intestinal motility. Modern research continues to show that gut health and skin health are deeply connected. Factor number 3, sun exposure. Now let's return to the sun. When ultraviolet light reaches the skin, melanocytes receive a signal to increase melanin production. This is a normal protective response. The problem occurs when melanocytes are already irritated by chronic inflammation. Instead of producing pigment evenly, they overreact and concentrate pigment into isolated spots. That is why some people continue developing age spots despite avoiding excessive sun exposure. The answer is not to fear sunlight. The answer is to improve your internal resilience. Several foods help protect the skin from UV damage. Carrots rich in beta-carotene, cooked tomatoes rich in lycopene, green tea rich in catechins. These compounds act as antioxidants, helping neutralize free radicals generated by UV exposure. A practical approach is simple. Avoid peak UV hours when possible, wear sensible protection, but do not hide from sunlight completely. Your body needs sunlight to produce vitamin D.